Hi there, it's Nicole for Lawn Fawn, and this is part of the Lawn Fawn Fawnie holiday week, and I have got a card that showcases stamped images on Kraft Cardstock colored with Prismacolor colored pencils. I just love the effect of this, and so I actually stamped all of my images on Kraft Cardstock and colored them in and then die cut them to assemble my card. So I have got some Kraft Cardstock here. I am going to use my Misty to help line up my images, or be able to stamp them up rather, or stamp them multiple times, one on top of another, to get some really nice crisp stamped images. I am using tree and decoration images from the Trim the Tree stamp set, and then some deer and a squirrel and a bird, and additional accessory images from the Cheery Christmas stamp set. I love mixing and matching my Lawn Fawn stamp sets to create truly unique cards. I just think it's so much fun. So there is one inked up image, and you can see it's a little light, so I like to stamp it at least twice. If any area is missed, like the little dots on the deer, I always like to stamp it maybe one last time. So here are some of the images I'm going to start coloring. I am going to speed through the coloring pretty quickly. However, I did leave in all of the coloring. So in case you kind of want to see how this exactly works on Kraft Cardstock with colored pencils, this is the whole process. I went ahead and put down a base layer of white colored pencil on my tree, and then I'm kind of pulling in some darker color. I'm coloring it this way in particular on the tree because I want a little bit of that texture. I really want my tree to kind of look like a tree. And so I went in with my mid-tone color there, and then I'm going to go back in with my darker color and kind of color over the whole thing again with my white colored pencil and blend that out. The white as a base really allows me to do some blending with the actual colored pencils themselves, as opposed to a blender pencil or Gamsol. I did not use either one of those products for any of the coloring here today. So maybe you have some colored pencils at home and you don't have any of the blending solution, you don't have a blender pencil. I wanted to show that you can create a really beautiful card and some nice coloring without the aid of those particular products. I'm going to do the same thing for each layer of this tree. I just love the effect of it when you kind of pull down some of that dark color and the mid-tone color. It just gives some really nice texture. You could totally blend this out with a blender pencil or Gamsol if you wanted to, if you like that look a little bit more. For the tree though, I really wanted to keep in the tree texture. I even went back and added additional coloring later. A very useful tool with colored pencils is a good pencil sharpener. And you don't want to use an electric pencil sharpener. At least that's what I have always been told. And I have not had good luck with that. I did try with some previous Prismacolor colored pencils, and I really ruined some of them. Part of what makes it so great with a manual pencil sharpener is that you can control the pressure that you use so that you don't break the tips off. I use the Prismacolor colored pencil sharpener and it works great. Finish up my tree, and then I'm going to add a little brown for the tree trunk. I love that with the Trim the Tree stamp set, there are a couple options for the base of the Christmas tree. I really liked the little pot there with the scalloped edge, so that's the one I'm going to be using. But there is another option. Plus, there's tons of decorations for the tree. I mean, tons. You could really outfit the tree with all kinds of cool decorations and trimmings. I chose to mostly keep it to the light bulbs, and that's because I'm using the little strand of light bulbs from Cheery Christmas for the antlers on the one deer with the antlers. And I thought it would be kind of fun to make it kind of look like the animals are decorating the tree, putting the lights on the tree. And then I did pull in just a couple of additional images as well. My deer is colored in, instead of white as my base, I used French gray. the 10% French gray rather. There's several different French grays in the Prismacolor colored pencil collection, and a couple shades of brown, and then built that color up. Both deer are colored exactly the same. I did pull in a little brown into that French gray area, the almost white, I call it off-white, to darken it and add a little bit of texture. Color both these little guys in, but again, you can see how awesome they look on the Kraft Cardstock. I think this was a really fun, I kind of call it experiment. I love to color on Kraft Cardstock, but I generally don't die cut the images afterwards, and I really didn't want to fussy cut all of these teeny tiny little pieces. My fussy cutting skills are not that great, so I wanted to die cut them with the coordinating dies. And so for me, this was an experiment that I definitely will do again because I really loved the results. I colored the Santa hat with shades of white and reds, the same thing for the little pot that the tree is going to sit in. All of the colors I'm using are shown across the bottom of the screen. This is to help with, if you are wondering exactly which color of Prismacolor colored pencils I'm using, this is what I'm using. I do have the great big set of pencils. You definitely don't have to have that if you don't want to. I do this for my job, so it's really helpful to me, but you definitely do not have to have that many colored pencils. You can start with a much smaller set and maybe build on it if you really love using colored pencils. I chose to make the bird blue, kind of leave his belly a little bit of white there. Again, his base color was white, kind of helps soften up the blue shades a little bit. Plus it adds a nice pop of color. I'm using a little bit more orangey colors or tones for the squirrel, so he differentiates from the deer just a little bit. But the little bluebird is going to add some interest. With so many earth tones going on, and of course the great big green tree, I'm trying to add in some little pops of color where I can. So the base of the tree, the Santa hat, the bird, and then we're going to add some really fun colors with the light bulbs, or the strand of lights, a candy cane, gift packages, all these little accessories that really bring the whole scene together. For the light bulbs, they're pretty small. I did go ahead and put down a base color of white because it's allowing me to put that little highlight area onto each light bulb really easily. Not a ton of shading or anything has to go on. These are all pretty small images. The candy cane is white and red, and then of course all of these different colors. Some of the colors you've seen before I've used for different elements that I already colored, but I'm also pulling in some yellow. I will pull in some purples and some pinks to add some really nice bright color to the packages and the light bulbs that are going to go along the bottom edge of my card. I think that green light bulb really kind of gets lost. I did leave it for the strand of lights that I'll put in the reindeer's antlers, but the green light bulb that I colored there, I ended up not using on the finished card because with the tree being green, I didn't think that it really showed up very well, and I really wanted those pops of colorful light bulbs on my Christmas tree. Once all of my images are colored, I am going to die cut them with the coordinating Trim the Tree and Cheery Christmas dies. There are dies for every little bit of ornaments and things for both of these sets. Lots of teeny tiny pieces. I use magnetic sheets to hold on to die sets that have lots of little pieces like this so that I don't accidentally lose something. And I did add even one ornament to this so that it looks like the bird is starting to hang the ornaments on the tree. So here are my pieces. So much fun. I did add some detail to some of these pieces, and I'm going to show you that here in a minute with a glitter pen, with a black glaze pen. A lot of times I like to kind of lay everything out before I go ahead and work on my background or the next step of my card. That way I can make sure that everything is working out like how I imagined it in my mind. So sometimes this is the time where you change up things or add things. In this case, this was really where I decided how many accessories I actually needed to finish out the design and to complete this. A black glaze pen is my favorite tool for finishing off little critters. There's nothing better to really make the noses and eyes pop, and it just gives such a nice finishing touch. I even used a white pen to add some little dots to the cheeks on the bird and the squirrel. And then the Stardust glitter pen, I am flicking it up along the bottom edge of each layer of the tree to add a little bit of glimmer and glitter to my Christmas tree. It's a little hard to see here. Maybe in the video you can maybe see it a little bit here, but it's going to add just another layer of interest to the whole design. I'll hold it up here in a minute at an angle and maybe you can see that glitter and glimmer even better. But I really love it. It even kind of maybe looks like frost on the tree or icicle kind of look. I just love it. I'll kind of hold it up here at an angle. Maybe you can see that glitter. There we go. That's a little bit better. Now I have a craft background. This is an A2 sized 5.5 by 4.25 inch panel. I am inking up the snowy border from the Snowy Backdrops stamp set with the Yeti white pigment ink and stamping this a couple times along this top edge of my panel to create a falling snow background. I love the look of the white ink on Kraft. I have a couple of borders die cut from the Stitched Hillside Borders die collection from white cardstock. And then I'm going to lay out my images and start building up my scene. So I'm going to attach the images with whatever glue fits. For the bigger images, I'm using the Glue Glider Pro. For the smaller images, I am using glue dots. I love the ThermaWeb Zots Bling glue dots. They're a smaller size. I use them for attaching things like sequins or droplets and things like that, but they also work for great small sized dies. Things that I don't necessarily like to use liquid adhesive on because it can be a little bit messy. Build up my images. Before I get too much further, I am going to take Greetings from the Cheery Christmas stamp set, and I'm going to stamp that in the sky there using a combination of a couple of colors of Lawn Fawn inks. For the first part of the greeting, May Your Holiday Be, that is going to be stamped with the Lawn Fawn Black Licorice ink. I picked up all of my images with my ink block, and I'm stamping it off to the edge or on some scrap paper, that grid paper in the background, just to make sure that it looks okay. And I did have to adjust the word be because I didn't think it was maybe lined up as well as it could be. And then I stamped it again, and that looks good, so I stamped it on my actual project. I will take the word bright and ink that up with the lobster ink and stamp that right below to finish off the greeting. I love two-toned greetings like this. I will finish adhering the rest of my little accessory pieces, the gift packages, again using the ThermaWeb Zots Bling glue dots. I'll hang that string of lights in the antlers on my reindeer. He's going to hold a candy cane. And then I'm going to start decorating my tree. The bird's holding that ornament there as he's getting ready to start hanging some decorations on the Christmas tree. And the light bulbs I'm going to place all over the tree. And they provide lovely pops of color that are really going to add interest and a fun element to this cute little scene. Even got a little acorn that I pulled in at the last moment that's gift wrapped. I thought that was really fun and cute, especially for a woodland or forest type of Christmas scene card. I'm going to take the Wink of Stella clear glitter brush pen then and color in my light bulbs. This is going to give them a little bit of sparkle. Just go over the entire thing, all of the light bulbs, the strand in the deer's antlers and the ones on the trees. I'll attach my panel to a white side fold card base, and that is going to finish up this forest themed Christmas card colored on Kraft Cardstock with Prismacolor colored pencils. Thanks for joining me today for this holiday themed card showcasing Lawn Fawn stamps and dies. The supplies I used to create this card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more Lawn Fawn videos showcasing Christmas cards that you might be interested in. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.